Some movies are remembered for their stories. Others are remembered for what went wrong behind the camera. Deaths that should not have happened. Accidents that defied probability. Productions that felt poisoned from the first day of shooting.
Oh je. Wil je me dat linker auge abschießen da oben, hè?
These are not urban legends. These are documented histories that still unsettle cast crews and audiences decades later. These are cursed movies with histories too disturbing to ignore. Number 10. The Omen, 1976. The Omen may be the most statistically disturbing production ever recorded. Before filming even began, actor Gregory Peck's son died by suicide. Peck still completed the film. That decision would later feel prophetic rather than professional. During production, multiple lightning strikes occurred. Peck's plane was struck twice. A producer's plane was struck. A separate aircraft hired by the production was destroyed by lightning. A hotel scheduled for cast members was bombed by the IRA the day before their arrival. A special effects artist who worked on the decapitation scene later died in a real car accident involving decapitation.
Beg you, Mr. Thorne, listen to what I have to say.
Ambassador Thorne?
A stuntman's partner was killed in a separate crash. A zookeeper helping with the baboon sequence was mauled to death months after filming. The sheer volume of incidents distinguishes The Omen from other cursed films. These were not clustered on one set. They followed the production across countries and continents. They involved air travel, weather, political violence, and fatal coincidences. Even those skeptical of curses admit discomfort with the timeline.
Well, what about this? In Revelations it says, "He shall rise from the eternal sea."
Too many events mirrored the film's themes too precisely. Too many occurred to people directly connected. The Omen was a financial success, but its legacy is inseparable from the unease surrounding its creation. Cast and crew later admitted that something felt wrong throughout filming. Number 9. Twilight Zone, the movie, 1983. No cursed film discussion can avoid Twilight Zone the movie because its tragedy was immediate, public, and undeniable. During production of the film's opening segment, a nighttime helicopter stunt went catastrophically wrong. Actor Vic Morrow and 2 child actors were killed instantly when the helicopter lost control and crashed directly on top of them. The circumstances surrounding the accident were deeply disturbing. The children were hired illegally without proper permits.
Oh je. Wil je me dat linker auge abschießen da oben, hè?
They were working at night in violation of labor laws. Explosions were detonated closer than safety regulations allowed. The pilot later testified that he was blinded by pyrotechnics seconds before losing control. What makes this tragedy uniquely haunting is that it was captured on film. Multiple cameras were rolling. Crew members screamed in horror as the blades struck. Hollywood could not bury what happened. The footage became evidence. The aftermath changed the industry. Director John Landis was charged with involuntary manslaughter along with several crew members. Though acquitted years later, the trial exposed systemic negligence and a culture of recklessness. Child labor laws were rewritten. Safety oversight became mandatory. But the curse of Twilight Zone extended beyond the courtroom. Survivors described lifelong trauma. Crew members left filmmaking entirely.
Now do you realize you'll never get out of here? You think it was an accident you came here?
The franchise itself became radioactive. Later reboots carried a shadow they could never escape. This was not superstition. This was consequence. Number 8. Rosemary's Baby, 1968. Rosemary's Baby is often described as cursed retroactively. At the time of release, nothing seemed wrong, but history slowly wrapped the film in real-world horror far more disturbing than fiction. Director Roman Polanski's pregnant wife Sharon Tate was brutally murdered by members of the Manson family just 1 year after the film's release. The crime became one of the most infamous moments in American history. Tate was 8 months pregnant. The parallels to the film were impossible to ignore. The building used as the exterior for the cursed apartment was the Dakota in New York City. Years later, it would become the site of John Lennon's murder. 2 cultural deaths tied to the same location amplified the legend. Several cast members later expressed unease about the production. Polanski himself became a fugitive years later after sexual assault charges. His disappearance from American cinema further tainted the film's legacy. What separates Rosemary's Baby from other cursed films is its thematic precision. The story is about betrayal hidden behind polite society, about evil thriving quietly among neighbors.
52598. It's an emergency. I'm in a phone booth.
The real world followed the same pattern. There were no explosions or accidents during filming. The curse manifested afterward, slowly, relentlessly, as if the film had opened a door rather than caused an event. Number 7. Stalker, 1979. Stalker may be the deadliest film ever made without a single on-set accident. Its curse unfolded invisibly through poison and time. Director Andrei Tarkovsky filmed Stalker in heavily polluted industrial locations in Estonia. Toxic chemicals leaked into rivers, strange foam drifted through water. The zone was not a set, it was a contaminated wasteland. Years later, Tarkovsky died of lung cancer. So did actor Anatoly Solonitsyn. So did assistant director Larisa Tarkovskaya. Multiple crew members developed similar illnesses, all had spent extended time in the same locations. No official cause was ever proven, but the pattern is chilling, the same rare illnesses, the same exposure, the same environments. Doctors quietly acknowledge the likelihood of chemical poisoning. The irony is brutal. Stalker is about a forbidden zone that grants wishes at terrible cost. The people who created it entered a real forbidden zone and paid with their lives. Unlike other cursed films, there were no rumors during production. The danger was invisible, silent, slow. That makes Stalker uniquely terrifying. Number 6, Apocalypse Now, 1979. Apocalypse Now did not feel cursed at first, it felt ambitious. That illusion collapsed almost immediately. Typhoons destroyed entire sets in the Philippines. Filming shut down for months. When production resumed, nothing was the same. Locations were altered, budgets exploded, schedules dissolved. Thus, Martin Sheen suffered a near-fatal heart attack halfway through filming. He was 40 years old. Production halted while Coppola quietly questioned whether the film would ever be completed. Sheen returned visibly changed, thinner, weaker, and shaken. Some of his most intense scenes were filmed during recovery using real blood, real exhaustion, and real fear. Marlon Brando arrived overweight, unprepared, and unwilling to read the script. Coppola rewrote the ending daily. Cameras rolled without clear purpose. Crew members described the set as a psychological war zone. Drugs were everywhere. Nervous breakdowns were common. Coppola himself later admitted he considered suicide. What separates Apocalypse Now from other cursed films is duration. The chaos did not peak. It lingered. Months turned into years. The production mirrored the war it depicted. Confusion, moral collapse, and obsession replaced structure. By the time the film premiered, Coppola famously stated that the movie was not about Vietnam. It was Vietnam. That was not metaphor, it was confession. Number 5. The Crow, 1994. The Crow is inseparable from tragedy. During filming, Brandon Lee was killed by a prop gun loaded with a fragment lodged in the barrel from a previous scene. When fired, the projectile struck Lee in the abdomen. He died hours later. Investigations revealed cascading negligence, improperly cleared weapons, inexperienced handling, budget shortcuts. No single villain, only failure stacked upon failure. The cast was devastated. Filming halted. Insurance battles followed. The film was eventually completed using stand-ins and early visual effects technology. Lee's remaining scenes were reconstructed digitally. His performance became a memorial. What fuels the curse narrative is timing. Lee was the son of Bruce Lee, who also died young under mysterious circumstances. Both deaths froze careers mid-rise. Both became symbols larger than life. Crew members later spoke of unease throughout the shoot. Minor accidents, persistent bad luck, a sense that something was wrong long before the fatal day arrived. Number 4. Poltergeist, 1982. Poltergeist was marketed as a suburban ghost story. What followed it into real life felt far darker. From the beginning, rumors spread that the production had crossed a line by using real human skeletons in the infamous swimming pool scene. At the time, fake skeletons were expensive, real medical specimens were cheaper. That single decision would haunt the film forever. The most chilling aspect of Poltergeist is the number of cast deaths that followed. Dominique Dunne, who played the eldest daughter, was murdered by her former boyfriend shortly after the film's release. Heather O'Rourke, the face of the franchise, died suddenly at the age of 12 from a misdiagnosed illness. Julian Beck, who portrayed the sinister preacher, died of cancer soon after filming. 4 principal cast members from the trilogy died within 6 years. Crew members reported strange occurrences on set. Equipment malfunctioned without explanation. Lights shattered. Props moved on their own. One actor claimed a presence followed him home. Another refused to return to the soundstage after dark. What elevates Poltergeist beyond coincidence is timing. The deaths did not occur decades later. They clustered tightly around the production and release window. This created a sense that the film carried momentum beyond control. Even today, Poltergeist is referenced whenever discussions of cursed films arise. Number 3. The Conqueror, 1956. The Conqueror is often cited as the most statistically lethal film production in history. Not because of accidents, because of radiation. The film starred John Wayne as Genghis Khan and was shot near St. George, Utah, downwind from active nuclear testing sites used by the United States government. At the time, officials assured cast and crew that the area was safe. It was not. Fallout had settled into the soil. Dust carried radioactive particles across the landscape. Filming exposed hundreds of people repeatedly over months. Years later, an alarming pattern emerged. Of the roughly 220 people involved in the production, 91 developed cancer. 46 died from it. John Wayne, Susan Hayward, Agnes Moorehead, director Dick Powell, all victims, many with rare aggressive forms. The studio even transported tons of contaminated soil back to Hollywood for reshoots. The poison followed them home. No official admission of responsibility was ever made. Studies were inconclusive by design, but the numbers are impossible to ignore. Number 2. The Serpent and the Rainbow. 1988. The Serpent and the Rainbow blurred the line between folklore and lived danger. Director Wes Craven traveled to Haiti during political unrest to film a story about voodoo and zombification. The production quickly became entangled in real violence. Crew members received death threats. Locations were shut down by armed soldiers. One night, Craven was warned to leave the country immediately or face imprisonment. A political execution reportedly occurred near the set. Local practitioners accused the production of disrespecting sacred rituals. Equipment was sabotaged. Illness spread among the crew. Several members reported hallucinations, paranoia, and psychological distress long after filming ended. What unsettles viewers is how little of this chaos appears on screen. The film feels restrained, almost clinical. That restraint came from fear, not artistic choice. Unlike other cursed films, the danger here was external and immediate. There were no accidents, only survival. The curse followed the production because it trespassed into a culture already scarred by oppression and belief systems not meant to be dramatized. Number 1. The Passion of the Christ, 2004. The Passion of the Christ may be the most physically punishing production ever completed. Actor Jim Caviezel suffered a dislocated shoulder, hypothermia, pneumonia, and a lightning strike during filming. The lightning hit him directly. He survived, barely. Multiple cast and crew members were struck by lightning during production. At least 6 incidents were documented. Several suffered lasting injuries. Caviezel required heart surgery years later. The filming conditions were extreme by design. Caviezel lost significant weight. He was lashed repeatedly. Blood loss was real. The suffering was not simulated. Psychological toll followed. Caviezel later spoke of permanent trauma and career consequences. He claimed Hollywood quietly distanced itself from him after the film's release. Whether viewed as devotion or obsession, the production blurred faith and endurance to a dangerous degree. They are records of what happens when ambition, belief, or negligence overwhelms restraint. Some productions collapse, others succeed, but the cost is always paid by someone. These films endure not because of superstition, but because their histories refuse to stay buried.